All right, let's start with this stupid article. San Francisco to rename. Of course, it's San Francisco. Right off the bat.
Obviously.
Like,
Yeah.
of course, it's San Francisco, California, the land of the woke. All right. San Francisco to rename Abraham Lincoln High School because former president did not demonstrate that Black lives mattered to him.
Just when you think you've reached peak 2020. he only freed the slaves. Not good enough.
Right?
Not good enough.
He only freed the slaves. Now, there's arguments that actually the slaves freed themselves.
Well,
And it's like, oh my gosh. So what, you're saying Kanye was right? And they're like, my brain can't function. Anyway, as woke renaming committee, that's great. There's woke renaming committees. I'm just breaking this all down, aren't I? Okay. Also takes aim at Democrat Senator Dianne Feinstein and Teddy Roosevelt. Man.
Well, and it's funny too because I thought when I originally read this, I was like, it was because Dianne Feinstein hugged Lindsey Graham after the ACB hearings. I was like, this is the reason they're going to rename the school, but it really wasn't. It was because of something she did in the 80s.
Really? What?
Yeah, it was something I don't even remember. It was some decision she made in the 80s that they
goodness.
decided to be offended by 40 years later.
Oh my gosh. And Tubin's over there just like tugging away on a Zoom call, and he's cool. Well, he's a Democrat, so he's on the right side of history. So we don't need to punish him because he's still good. It's like, what?
Well, you know what the thing of the Lincoln part of this though is because like they even say in the article the headline is like a tiny bit misleading. They quoted a historian for that headline, but they say it's actually because of how he treated Native Americans, which let's be honest, like, I mean, he did some stuff that I think we could consider to be questionable, but I mean, lots of stuff happens throughout history. Like you can't win them all, I guess. But what is it's actually an indication of like that they're combining Black and Indigenous people of color. It's like how we go from caring only about how Black lives matter to BIPOC, because they're being conflated for that article.
That's a good point. And that is really I see. Well, let's just keep reading it. I keep wanting to go to my little pad here, but because I'm using StreamYard, bringing it back. There it is. Okay.
There we go.
I'm just going to read some of these bullet points because I feel this is a long article and it is kind of just ridiculous. So I just want to peruse these bullet points. San Francisco Unified School District Renaming Committee decided Abraham Lincoln School will be renamed. Under his watch, indigenous peoples had much of their land taken away from them through the 1862 Homestead Act and Pacific Railway Act. In 1864, the Lincoln administration oversaw the deportation of the Navajo tribe from their land in Arizona to march a brutal 450-mile journey to New Mexico. And actually, 200 of them died along the journey. It's kind of a brutal story. Lincoln also had behind the largest mass hanging in U.S. history, where 38 Dakota men were condemned to death in Minnesota in 1862. He also freed like almost 300 of them because he didn't want this to be the case. So already they're not giving you enough information. So it's interesting because when I was looking into all this, I found all this stuff. But Lincoln also abolished slavery in 1863 with the Emancipation Proclamation. All right, so they're giving him a little bit, just a little.
Yeah, just a little credit for that.
Gosh,
not much,
44,
just a little.
Yeah, 44 of the 125 schools in San Francisco Unified School District to be renamed. Wow, 44 schools also.
There was a lot of offense.
Are they all Abraham Lincoln schools or what? I mean,
there's definitely a George Washington school that's being renamed that I remember from the article because
changing history.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's like if every person in history is judged by their worst accomplishments rather than their best, like we're all gonna look bad at the end of the day because all of us do stupid things in life and we don't, I mean, these are people of their times.
Yep.
These are people of their times. Like you cannot judge people in history by today's standards.
Yep. Well, it reminds me of this story about a school teacher who came up and said, all right, I'm going to, write down some math problems and the answers. And I just want to see what you guys think about this. And said 1 times 9 is 10. And then 2 times 9 is 18. 3 times 9 is 27, and continued writing all of them down. And everyone was just laughing and laughing and laughing and been like, 1 times 9 is 10. Like you got the easiest one wrong. And then the teacher was like, great that you noticed. If you'll continue seeing, I did all of the rest of them correct, but you all focused on the one thing I did wrong and laughed at me for it. Now, that's exactly how the rest of the world will always see you. They'll always see the one thing that you did wrong. And I was like, that's good. That's powerful, you know?
It is very powerful. That's a great example. I'm totally going to steal that.
Absolutely. Steal it. I stole it. I mean, that's what humans do. They take knowledge and pass it along so we can further our knowledge. So that's what humans do. That's a good thing.
And that to me is one of the things that's so alarming about how many people I see out there addicted to anger and outrage in our country.
Mhm.
And that's also on both the left and the right. Of course, like I think the SJWs are a little bit more addicted to it. But
Yep.
when you're addicted to anger, you're only ever going to be looking for things to feed that anger. You're only ever going to be looking for the bad in life. And life
Yep.
is awesome.
It
There's like
is.
life is amazing. And
It really is.
how sad is it that all these people are going to grow up and have full life experiences and only see the negative and not get to experience any of the great things?
I agree with you completely. And anger it doesn't last. It's fleeting, and you have to keep reminding yourself of the anger and keep feeding the furnace of your
Mhm.
anger. So people, they don't even give themselves a break to, be happy,
Right.
because it's just a constant renewal of the anger. Listen, look at this. I saw this while we were chatting. Senator Dianne Feinstein's name will be stripped from the Dianne Feinstein Elementary School for allowing the Confederate flag to fly outside City Hall
That's what it was. It was something stupid.
in
Yeah.
the 80s. Is that right? Is that
In
when
the
it was?
80s. In the 80s. It was like 1984 or something.
The renaming of schools comes as part of a nationwide reckoning around racial justice that has seen statues toppled and military bases renamed. No, they were ripped down. This drives me nuts. Look, I know I'm not going to call these people out, but I know some people who, they're friends, and I just am so sad because I hear the way that they are so brainwashed. And I don't like talking about race, but they're white, okay? They're a Caucasian family, whatever. And they truly believe that white people are in the wrong, and we owe everyone an apology. Like, they believe that I owe every single person of color an apology. But what the hell have I done?
Mhm.
What have I done to any of these people? Nothing. I'm actually advocating for meritocracy. I feel like anyone can earn anything if they work for it. Like, what do I owe an apology to anyone for? Like, this
No.
is ridiculous. Abraham Lincoln, actually, look at this. I'm going to bring this up because this is ridiculous. All right. This is an article from history.com talking about the Emancipation Proclamation, but I found something interesting. It says here, Lincoln personally hated slavery. He considered it immoral. Yeah. It says if a black person is a man, then why my ancient faith teaches me that all men are created equal, and there can be no moral right in connection with one man making a slave of another. That's amazing. That was where his head was at. He truly believed no one should be enslaved.
Not good enough. Not
That's the
good enough.
case. Look, you know what? I agree that the Native Americans, we took a lot of their land, but then, of course, if you look further back into history, they were taking land from each other and killing each other and warring all over the place because there was different tribes taking land. That's literally how the world was for thousands and thousands of years. That's what humans did. They fought. We live in a time where we don't have to fight anymore. Look, I know it happened. I'm not saying it was right, but to say that Abraham Lincoln didn't care about, black people, or that Black Lives Matter, that they didn't matter, like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're just trying to find a way to delete the past. They want to rip apart the past. They want to rip apart the people that, were held at high esteem in the American history and get rid of America. That's what I see. Communism. They're trying to bring full communism. Look, everyone deserves everything. You don't have to do anything by 2030. You don't even need to own anything. You'll be happy.
Hmm.
Really.
And where does it go from here? Is the thing
Right.
what is the next thing? Because like we're gonna reach the point where this isn't good enough for them either. Then we're gonna have to go to the next level, and then the next level after that. And
Mhm.
I mean, I saw a meme yesterday that was like, not for nothing, but Mad Max took place in 2021. And
Did it
I was
really?
like, yeah. I was like, oh,
I
good.
mean there's some rumors going around. Actually, it's not a rumor that we were hacked. You know about this whole hack, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I heard.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna be talking about it tomorrow more in depth. But I just wanna bring it up because I just saw an article right before we went live about how, um, our nuclear, arsenal was part of that hack.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So and also our monetary system. So there's a chance, like, you know what? Just imagine, if you will, the internet just gets turned off. What would happen? What would people do if the
And
internet was gone? Like, imagine no internet. How would your life be out there, huh?
wasn't there a show like a couple years ago where all of a sudden all the electricity in the world just got turned completely off and
What would you
America had
do?
like I mean seriously.
Who would be able to survive in that situation? All electricity, internet's gone, done. We're
Mhm.
not that far away from that.
No.
Our country got hacked. Our the all the infrastructure, the electric infrastructure got hacked too. All of it. Our whole country it's under attack. Like, we got hacked. That's not a joke. They released this. They were like, make sure your entire systems are checked for, whatever, because we got hacked. That's all across the board on all different systems in America. How do we know? It's
Well,
pretty insane.
Adam, at least we get a front row seat to the downfall of humanity.
Don't say that.
It's kinda like there's this movie called, Last Night that is, like, one of my favorite movies of all time. It's literally
Okay.
about the last day on Earth before the sun swallows the Earth, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
like, at some point, you question the things you really value, go do all the things you wish you had done throughout your life, sleep with all the people you ever wanna sleep with, and then you just sit back and let humanity consume you.
I mean, I think I'd personally be fine. I mean, I know how to hunt. I know how to fish. Well, hunting and fishing, I feel, are very much the same, but I'm not far from water that I can go fishing in. Although it's wintertime, I don't know how much it is, but there's deer around me. Funny, I'm vegan, but you'd think I wouldn't go hunting and
You'll
and
learn how to shoot a
survive.
deer.
Oh, I know how to, and, I know how to dress it and turn it into food, and I would. Um, I think, shelter's a little different because I feel like I could stay here and it'd be fine. It would certainly change the way life is, but, I mean, how many people out like, all the preppers out there, they're sitting there just,
Mhm,
"I'm ready for this. We knew this was gonna happen." I mean,
mhm.
I love prepper shows because I like being prepared for things. I'm not necessarily a prepper, but, who's turned into a prepper over the past year? Uh,
Mhm, I was gonna say, someone's been shilling a
yeah.
lot of emergency food.
Yeah, exactly. And you should, yeah, yeah, there's, certainly a good amount. So, it's, and we've got a good team here. So I feel like, I mean, I can build a lot of stuff. I have a lot of tools. I've got a lot of, solar stuff that I can charge my batteries and keep using my tools. So I don't know. I feel like personally I would be prepared to handle stuff. It's not something that I'm used to, and most people probably would be, for lack of better words, effed.
Well,
I don't
but
want
you
to say it, but yeah,
you
they
know
would
why
be.
people like you and me would be okay in this, Adam, is that we take
Yeah.
responsibility for our experience and we're not afraid to work and we're not afraid to figure stuff out. We don't sit around all day saying, I'm a victim of the world, poor me, all this stuff. Like
Yeah.
if we get confronted with a situation, we figure it out. It might not be like we may not like the situation, but
Yep.
we're gonna make the best of it. And that's gonna be the difference between people who, thrive in the apocalypse and those
Yep.
who well, just tune out.
It reminds me of this tweet I saw the other day that someone said, those who are worried about microaggressions haven't experienced enough macro dangers. And I
Hmm.
love that so much because that's what we're seeing here. These people are like, oh, we're nitpicking Abraham Lincoln's entire life when he actually was the pinnacle moment of how of when slavery was abolished in this country. Without him, there might have been divided states of America back in the middle of the 1800s or 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
That's what would have happened. And
Yeah.
slavery might still have been a thing in the South. Those were the Democrats in the South that wanted to keep slavery, and the Republicans saved them. They're trying to say that the party switched. No, they didn't. They
Nope.
didn't. There is no switching. But anyway, it's like this is microaggressions. This is looking for things to be upset about instead of realizing we have electricity. We have food at the stores, not having to work all day on making food so that you survive through the winter, which is most of humanity. Most
Mm-hmm.
of humanity, that's what our whole purpose was, making sure that we had food for the wintertime. I'm not joking. Look it up. Look up history. Most people were farmers. That's all it was. You lived with your family. You farmed the land to survive as a family until you maybe, were into another family and you stayed as a family and you made food. That's it. We're so, like you said, we're lucky. We are. We're so
So
lucky in this
blessed.
world. Yeah,
Yeah.
we are. In this world that we have, it's incredible the things that we have. We don't have to farm. We can spend our time trying to figure out what makes UFOs spin and levitate on a
Mm-hmm.
lamp. Like,
It's a mystery.
what? This kind of stuff exists because we were able to, you know, uh,
Create it.
automize food sources. Now farmers scaled it up to handle a much larger population. Then everyone didn't need to be farmers. We can do other things. But if all this gets taken away, if the society that has been built is suddenly stripped of the wheels that keep it moving, what are you going to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
This it's just crazy. And I feel like we're kind of shifting in another direction from this topic, but I feel like these people need to they need to have a reality check. It's ridiculous.
I agree.
Anybody in the past probably has some sort of stain on their on their hands.
You know what we need to bring back?
What?
You know
Public
how like
shaming.
well, yes, we definitely need to bring back stocks and public shaming and throwing rotten food at people.
Let
But
us-
but in addition to that, when I back in the day when I was in school, when I walked uphill to school both ways in the snow, people
yeah.
joined the Peace Corps after
Oh,
graduation. And
right.
it's like one of those things that you always think is cheesy, but what do you do in the Peace Corps? You go to underdeveloped places and you help societies to build and you do humanitarian work and you get to experience the way other people live. Like I
Ah.
think like do 2 years of the Peace Corps, man, and then go to college and then complain about microaggressions.
I agree with that. I agree. I mean, I've been to South Africa and I've driven through. I stayed in Cape Town, where it's relatively nice and well, no, it is really nice in Cape Town. It's a really beautiful place. And I've had I was working a job there, and we had to go like an hour outside of so I drove through the countryside, and then right outside there's these nice vineyards. But then you get past the vineyards, you go into like further and further, and then all of a sudden you see you know, um, shacks, shanties
Mhm.
that people don't even have running water or electricity. Their water is one well in the center of their little, I want to say town, but it's just like groupings of these,
Mhm.
shanties that they have to walk to get water. They have to walk to get water to bathe themselves, to clean their clothes, to wash their dishes, to cook with. Like, can you imagine that, having to walk out to
Oh,
get your water? That still exists
my
today.
my husband grew up in a town in the Ukraine. He did not have running water in his
Really?
house growing up. He had to go to an outhouse. They filled the bathtub up with the bucket.
Yep.
It was literally only a couple of years ago that they actually installed running water in my husband's parents' house, and
Yeah.
this was like a momentous occasion.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a thing that people are used to. Like, even toilets. There was that question floating around, like, what's the greatest invention ever made? And it's like, it's the sewer system, not
Mhm.
having to deal with your poop.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's pretty incredible. I
It
mean,
is.
running water and getting rid of your poop, those two things, boom, amazing.
Mhm.
Those are incredible things. Being able to drink water out of your tap and have your poop get washed away.
And think about all the amazing things that people could be inventing and creating if they weren't focused on nonsense, like
Yep.
renaming Abraham Lincoln High School.
Gosh, I agree. That's what they're focused on. They're focused on breaking down the building blocks of what made our country. That's what they
Mhm.
want. They want to disassemble what makes America great, and they're like, all right, actually, America's terrible. We got to get rid of America completely. And it doesn't. I don't even like saying that out loud, because I think they're
Yeah.
crazy to think that, because this place is incredible. Abraham Lincoln set the path in the right direction. Okay, sure, he wasn't a perfect man, but humans are flawed. We are all flawed. Okay,
Mhm.
the difference is you know between Abraham Lincoln and these people, they want to vilify everyone. Well, Abraham Lincoln, sure, he might have done terrible things, but he still made a point to do
Mhm.
good things, and they
Yeah.
made a huge impact. And
And it's also worth
it's crazy.
noting that, like, he did things that we could look back and say, "Okay, that was probably not the best idea," but he also
Right.
built the Transcontinental Railroad.
It's
Like,
true.
that was why he did it.
Yep.
That was
And it's
important.
like, well, and I gotta remind everybody that, as I'm getting more and more political, look, we were all right. I learned that the president is just one figure. All right, we've got three branches. Okay, and the executive branch, the president, he doesn't make the rules. Okay, he's not like the all encompassing godlike emperor that everyone claims him to be. They've sure wanted to convince everybody that that's what Trump has been doing, but no, he's been learning how to be a solid president over the past 4 years. But it's the senators that make the laws. Okay, it's the senators that get paid by certain people or sleep with spies, which we've seen to have been an actual thing that has happened over the past 5 years. Is pretty insane. All right, side subject, but it is these senators that are making all these moves. Do you know anything about the senators back when Abraham Lincoln was president? People who are thinking they're all high and mighty and calling, Abraham Lincoln. You think it was all 100% every single thing that happened during his time as presidency all is just his. That's what they convince you at. No, a lot of the senators are doing all the stuff too. They're also up there making the wheels turn. The House of Representatives, the Senate, like they have a lot of power themselves. And it's almost as if they've tried to convince everybody that they're not even there. It's not even that important. Don't worry about us. It's the president. Look up at the two presidents. Don't worry about the people that are actually writing the laws.
Mhm.
Really?
Well,
No.
I have another fun fact about senators in Lincoln's time too. So they also used to hit each other with canes in Lincoln's
Really?
time. There's a senator, Charles Sumner, is from Massachusetts. His nickname was Bleeding Sumner because I think it was around the time when during the whole like debate around the Civil War. It's like
What?
right after Lincoln got elected. It was around the Civil War era where they were having a big fight in the Senate, and one
Yeah.
of the senators comes in with his cane and whacks Charles Sumner in the head, and that's how he became Bleeding Sumner.
Oh my goodness. That's nuts.
Fun fact.
I don't know if we should bring that back, but,
It would be entertaining if we did,
I
let's
feel
be honest.
I feel like we should move towards, more a civilized, way of doing
I
things.
wanna see Ted Cruz being someone with a cane.
Oh my gosh.
You know he wants to.
You probably man, that guy is hilarious. Did you see the tweet? You know what? I'm bringing this up. I gotta do it because it's hilarious. You know what? I actually talked about the Chinese spy thing a little bit, and oh my gosh. So Ted Cruz AOC basically was talking about how sex work is work. Here it is. I've got it. Check this out. Sex work is work. The federal government has done almost nothing to help people in months. We must pass stimulus checks, UI, small biz relief, housing funding, etc. Keep the focus of shame there, not on marginalizing people surviving a pandemic without help. She didn't have to even add this sex work is work part.
No.
Like what? What do you? All right, but Ted Cruz, like a beast, he goes. AOC rises to Fang Fang's defense. Fang Fang, for those who don't know, is the Chinese spy that was caught that was sleeping with Eric Swalwell and a few different mayors. And it's pretty insane. He's so brutal.
Ted Cruz is a straight
Uh,
savage on Twitter.
he's a
He is
G.
amazing.
Shout out to Ted Cruz, that man.
God.